Hello, I am Isa Peña, Director of Strategy at Innovation Law Lab and one of the Tri-Chairs for Oregon for All. Thank you all for joining today. On Friday, we reported a surge in ICE activity. The Rapid Response Network has tracked more than 300 detentions in October alone across Oregon, including at least 30 people detained in a single day last week in Woodburn. These detentions have been violent, warrantless, and have terrorized our communities and our loved ones. They have torn families apart and have left lifelong trauma on children and communities. Today, we are here to provide an update. 4 Oregonians detained in last week's surge are already home with their families. Today, you will hear from Innovation Law Lab's Executive Director, Stephen Manning, who will provide legal updates, Latino Network's Director of Community Defense, Ana Munoz, who will share what families can do to prepare in case a loved one is detained, and Oregon for All's Network Director, Jess Montoya, who will share important resources to the community. Then we will open it up for questions. But first, I want to tell you more about what happened. Thanks to the incredible community infrastructure Oregon has built, the work of organizations and volunteers in our Rapid Response Network, some people are coming home. One of them is someone who makes wreaths. With her permission, I wanted to share a little bit more about her. In Woodburn, on Thursday, October 30th, before dawn, she was up and headed to work. She was headed to work to make Christmas wreaths that people everywhere in Oregon hang on their doors as greetings. She didn't make it to work, though, because ICE pulled the van of farm workers over in Woodburn, broke the glass on the car window, and detained everyone in the vehicle. ICE took her away, and she spent the night detained, far away from her community. But she was able to return home to her family. Oregon made that possible. These are real people in Oregon communities. The wreath makers, the blueberry pickers, the healthcare workers caring for our seniors, the construction workers, the restaurant cooks, all of them are Oregonians. When people are suddenly removed from their families and their communities, Oregon suffers. Families lose breadwinners, children lose parents, small businesses lose customers, and employers lose workers. This holiday season, as you hang up your wreath on the door, know that many people, just like the person who made it, were pulled over in their vehicles at dawn, glass shattered, on their way to work. Immigrant Oregonians make up 1 in 8 workers in our state. Many are small business owners, and together they pay hundreds of millions of dollars each year in state and federal taxes. 4 people of last week's incidents are back home. They are parents, workers, and community members. It is because we were able to move quickly and respond to provide them access to services and counsel that they are back home while their cases proceed through the legal system. That's good for their kids, that's good for their employers, and it's good for the entire state of Oregon. It's what happens when we protect due process and people have a fair chance. But we know that that's not the same fate that every Oregonian has faced when they are detained. There are hundreds of Oregon families who are still waiting for their loved one to come home, and people are still being detained, including this morning in Cottage Grove. Some don't even know where their loved ones are. The immigration system is set up to detain, to deport, and to terrorize communities. But we cannot and will not let that be the fate of Oregon communities. We must protect the place we call home.
Hello, I am Stephen Manning, the Executive Director for Innovation Law Lab. So in the last 5 days, Law Lab has filed lawsuits called petitions for habeas corpus in the federal courts on behalf of 6 Oregonians who've been detained by ICE. And already of those 6, 4 have been released and are home with their families, 4 that my colleague Isa mentioned. All of the people who were arrested by ICE in Woodburn had asked for a lawyer. Lawyers were available to speak with each and every one of them, and ICE denied access to most everyone. We know that that's not the way the law is supposed to work. And we know that ICE is engaged in this denial of access because due process matters. When due process is respected and attorneys are not blocked from meeting with their clients, we can respond immediately. We can move quickly. That's how those 4 people got home. That's due process at work. We got to go to court. We had a judge look at these things. In total, Law Lab has filed habeas corpus petitions for 13 Oregonians since June. And we've sued for attorney access to the ICE facility on behalf of Clear Clinic, a nonprofit providing legal services here in Oregon, and PACUN, the Farm Workers Union for Oregon. Oregon has built its infrastructure to make that legal response possible. It's called Equity Corps of Oregon, ECHO. The state's Universal Representation Program provides free immigration legal services statewide. ECHO brings together community-based organizations, advocates, lawyers, attorneys across the state to provide a full range of immigration legal services, including deportation defense, family unification, citizenship, work authorization, DACA renewals, and more, and rapid response. ECHO runs legal clinics in Medford, Portland, Hermiston, Woodburn, Forest Grove, and Bend. For people in the community, if you need legal services, you can enroll in ECHO. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy by calling 1-888-274-7292.
Hi, my name is Ana Munoz, and I'm the Director of Community Defense at Latino Network. When ICE detains a parent, children are left scared and traumatized. Families lose their stability and their source of income, while communities are gripped with fear. Families are being torn apart, and the economic and psychological consequences are devastating for all of us. We're hearing from families who can no longer afford their rent, kids who are terrified to go to school because they don't want to come home to an empty house. But we're also seeing communities standing together, neighbors looking out for each other, families getting informed, and people learning to exercise their constitutional rights, and connecting with legal support through ECHO. Latino Network and Oregon Law Center created the Protect Your Family Guide to help parents and caregivers make a plan so their children and loved ones are cared for in case they are separated, detained, or unable to return home. The guide includes checklists of important documents and a section to include contacts in case of an emergency. Along with the guide is a step-by-step legal forms that allow families to temporarily delegate the guardianship or authorize a trusted person to care for their children. The guide is also designed to ensure every child remains protected and cared for, even in the face of uncertainty. Because no matter what happens, families deserve peace of mind and children deserve to be protected. Every family should have this conversation and take steps to create a plan, because being prepared makes all the difference. The Protect Your Family Guide is available in both English and Spanish and is found on our website at www.latnet.org. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jess Montoya, Network Director for Oregon for All. Oregon for All is a robust and growing coalition of more than 100 organizations across the state dedicated to advancing immigrant justice. As ICE and Border Patrol have increased their sweeps, I'm here to talk about what every Oregonian can do. If you witness ICE or Border Patrol activity, first call or text PERC at 1-888-622-1510. The PERC hotline serves as the hub for our statewide rapid response network. PERC has received and responded to hundreds of calls a week since ICE has escalated its attacks on our community. These calls are all being filtered through a small group of courageous volunteers who dedicate their time to respond to community at all hours of the day. When someone calls the PERC hotline to report ICE activity, here's what happens. Someone will answer your call or text and take your report. They will ask questions about what you've seen, when and where it happened. Next, trained volunteers verify the report and document what's happening. Then attorneys can mobilize to provide representation. That's how the system worked for the 4 people who were released. Additionally, you can learn how to safely record ICE activity. We have a guide for filming ICE on our website at oregonforall.us/film. Your footage can help document abuses and serve as evidence. One note, be careful what you post online. Sharing videos, names, or personal details publicly can sometimes put families at risk. This is how Oregon shows up to protect our neighbors. Someone called, someone filmed, trained volunteers verified, attorneys filed emergency petitions, and people came home to their families. This network didn't appear overnight. It's built on decades of organizing by immigrant-led organizations across the state, and it's strengthened by the support of Oregonians who show up for their neighbors. Today, we are asking you to stand up boldly and loudly. We urge you to consider providing funds for families who have been impacted by ICE detentions by donating at workerrelief.org. We also ask cities and counties to connect with the rapid response teams in their regions to support folks in your communities. We are going to keep showing up to protect our families, coworkers, and neighbors. Thank you.
We will now open it up for questions. Yeah.
Joelle Jones with Point 6. You mentioned things that happened in Cottage Grove. Can you give us a little bit more context and some details about that?
Yeah, we have heard this morning that there have been multiple detentions in Cottage Grove. Our team is actively responding and trying to get more information, but that's what I can share at this time.
Isa, I have a question from Antonio online. He'd like you to answer in Spanish.
Perfect.
The question in English is, FBI warns of criminals posing as ICE agents and urges ICE agents and urges to ID themselves. Could this help ease the fears of Latino communities are facing? And then he asks you to respond in Spanish.
Creo que si inmigración y la migra se está identificando, sería un paso adelante para nosotros poder saber quiénes son las personas que están deteniendo a nuestras comunidades. Sin embargo, hemos visto que la migra ha actuado violentamente, entonces eso es parte de los miedos que nuestras comunidades han sentido. Entonces, sí ayudaría a que se identificaran ellos, pero creo que todavía están, los miedos todavía existen.
Hi, Heather Roberts with KXL Radio. You mentioned 4 of the people detained in Woodburn are home. What about the other 26 or so? Where are they at? Where are their cases at? Did you guys file petitions for them? Can you give us some background on those?
Did you want to answer? Yeah.
I can provide some of the answers to that. So for the folks who the lawyers were able to get access to, there was the immediate rapid response, and so those individuals, those are the 4 individuals. Of the 6 we were able to file petitions for, those were 4 who have been released. There's 2 others, their cases right now are in federal court, and we're working on that. For everyone else, the lawyers asked to see them. They said, look, the lawyers are outside, they're free, they're part of the ECHO response system. Can we get access to them? The people are inside, they've been asked, they say that they want the lawyers, and I said no. So we weren't able to file anything on a rapid basis for them. Almost all of them have been transferred. Most people are transferred from Portland to Tacoma, the detention center in Tacoma. And many of them, in the span of just a few days, have already been retransferred as well. So people are retransferred from Tacoma to places such as Adams County, Mississippi, to Florence, Arizona, some to, it's called Camp Montana and Fort Bliss. And once the transfers begin, it becomes exceedingly hard to get access for them to find out, we're finding lawyers for them, but we have to find them first. And once they're in this vast immigration detention system, it becomes so hard to find them.
So are you saying they didn't want lawyers? That's what ICE told
They
you?
wanted lawyers, and then I said, no, you can't see them.
Okay. Is there something different about their status than the other 6?
No.
So no explanation as to why 6 would be granted access and the other 24 not?
It was inconvenient.
So we've seen, I think, Fedora's are under the Oregonian. We've seen it like in the media and the social media, like in Chicago and New York, neighbors, just people kind of like say following immigration agents and honking their horns, or that kind of activity that, for lack of a better word, interferes with the agent's activities. So what would you say to Oregonians who are looking at that and wondering if they should themselves participate in those kinds of actions?
I think our general guidance is that in Oregon you are allowed to film and record ICE activity and police activity, and so our guidance is to document and help us provide evidence without interfering with the federal agents' activities.
So you're saying that you would want Oregonians to not interfere with detentions made by agents in the streets?
I think every Oregonian, is making their own individual choice, and I cannot speak to that. But what I can say is that it is lawful to record the interactions.
I'm curious to know, we asked this question at the last Oregon for All presser, but how is the government shutdown affecting the work that you guys are doing? Is it affecting the legal process, slowing it down in any capacity?
I can't speak a ton to that as well, but what I can say is that we are doing the best that we can to provide individuals with the resources that they need. We certainly have not seen the shutdown slow down ICE activity, and we want to be able to respond to individuals. But as our executive director, Stephen, has shared, we have been denied access on multiple times where we have tried to provide these rapid response legal services to folks.
Holly Bartholomew, OPB. We've seen more and more Border Patrol getting involved in these arrests and detentions that were previously handled mostly just by ICE. So I'm just kind of curious when we started seeing them becoming more involved, and if there is really much of a difference between what they are allowed to do and not allowed to do, and what ICE is allowed to do and not allowed to do.
Did you want to take that question?
So we've probably in mid-September began to see more Border Patrol, CBP, Customs and Border Patrol officers stationed here or deployed here into Oregon, and I'd probably say within the last 3 weeks, more CBP engagement in the field on arrests. And that coincides with the spike in violence that we've also seen. And that those trends, when we look at what's happened in Chicago and DC, those are similar trends, or the LA, Los Angeles, like when CBP gets involved. The laws are the same. Like, it's called the U.S. Constitution, and it applies to everybody who's in the U.S. government. They've got to abide by the U.S. Constitution at all times. Like, that's the law always. And so there's no. So what the difference between what a CBP officer can do and an ICE officer can do is exactly the same. The Constitution says people get due process. And when people are arrested without due process, it does not matter if it's by a CBP officer or by an ICE officer. It's still unconstitutional.
On Twitter X, DHS is posting people and their rap or whatever. The last one I saw was an explosion early in the morning, I think aggression. Are these people you're in touch with also, or I mean, they're going to say they're trying to get the worst off the streets, and they keep posting who they're taking.
I can't speak to that. I haven't seen what they've been posting. I think what we have seen, though, is that there are many Oregonians, like the individual I shared about, that are on their way to work who have been picked up by immigration, and families have been torn apart. Children have suffered trauma, and we see ICE terrorizing our communities.
Another question from Antonio.
Sure.
Another response in Spanish. We've seen more and more influencers propagating fake news, fomenting fear in the community. Some have gone far in saying ICE agents are at hospitals. What message can be relayed to them to stop instilling fear in the community? And if you wouldn't mind responding again in Spanish.
Do you want? Oh. Yeah. Do you want me to say that? Okay. Creo que hemos visto a muchas personas tratar de ayudar a nuestra comunidad, identificando que la migra está en diferentes lugares. Sí hemos visto que la migra ha estado en los hospitales, y eso ha sido debido a que sus acciones violentas han lastimado a individuos, y hemos visto que ellos han estado en los hospitales porque han tenido que llevar a las personas que ellos han lastimado para que reciban asistencia médica.
Could you say that in English too, please?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Oh, sure. The question is, we've seen more and more influencers propagating fake news, fomenting fear in the community. Some has gone far in saying ICE agents are at hospitals. What message can be relayed to the community to stop instilling fear in it?
Yeah, so what we can share is that ICE has been in hospitals, and that has been to the increased violence in their actions in detention. We have seen multiple individuals be taken to the hospital by ICE because of the violent actions that they have taken when detaining individuals. So they are at these places.
Not to pick up, to take in for injuries.
That is our understanding. We are unsure if they are picking up individuals while they are there.
Douglas from Coin.
Sorry, I think she had the next question.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you. Any chance, and forgive me if you already went over this, you have an update on the dozens of people who were arrested in Woodburn?
So we shared earlier today that 4 individuals are now home with their families. We also shared that many others are still detained. Many were transferred to Tacoma, and others have been transferred to other detention centers. Once individuals are transferred, we are still actively trying to provide them legal services, but we have seen this tactic of continuous transfer to prevent people from getting access to counsel.
Douglas from Coin, on the transfer part, people are being transferred from Portland to Tacoma to other places. Anyone being transferred to Portland?
I can't speak to that. I'm unsure, but not that we are aware.
So there have been anti-ICE protests going on outside the ICE facility in South Portland since like early June. So like, how effective do you believe they've been in drawing public's attention to this issue? Is there anything you'd like the protesters to know? Like, do you have any other comment on those ongoing protests?
I mean, I think everyone has the right to, for the First Amendment, to, speak freely about their opinions. I think we are focused on providing rapid response support services to our immigrant community, and so that's all I'll say.
Do you support the protests outside ICE?
I think we support everybody having access to their constitutionally afforded rights.
One more quick question about Cottage Grove, just to confirm, you can't tell us how many people that you've heard were detained this morning?
We have just heard several people be
Okay.
detained. I don't have confirmation on numbers
I
at
just
this
wanted to
time.
be sure.
Any other questions online? Oh, there is one coming from Diane Lugo. Following up on the mention of Oregon Work Relief last week, clarifying whether that fund is actively available right now for impacted families to access.
So we are currently still in our fundraising phase. We want to be able to meaningfully provide support to families. So we are asking community members to donate at this time and are working to make that available as soon as we can. We will certainly let you all know so individuals can access the fund when it's ready.
Quick follow-up on that. For families who are now left without their primary breadwinner, what's your advice to them?
We have been indicating folks to call the PERC hotline. They are connected to our regional leads, and our regional lead network has been working closely with impacted families on finding them support locally. All right, thank you all so much.